All right, welcome everyone. My name is Joe Young. This is our first sermon of the living room, and I'm so excited to invite you to go on a journey with us as we record more and more of these messages. Today I wanted to talk about gratitude. Thanksgiving really is around the corner, and I just wanted to share that I am so grateful to be working on this platform, working on this series of messages. I'm really stoked about it. I'm really stoked to get to know you and to build some sense of an online community, a tribe together. So I thought, why not start with a message on gratitude, the power of gratitude, and how we can maybe shift something about our thinking to garner more gratitude in our lives. That's what I'm hoping to get across for this quick message. So I just wanted to say, an attitude of gratitude is really, really key. And there's so many books about that. There's mindset books, positivity books, law of attraction books, and it's almost overwhelming. And it's sort of universally agreed upon that gratitude's a good thing for your life. You're going to have a more fulfilling life. You'll probably attract more success into your life. But I want to tell you about a little bit of a spiritual side of gratitude, and that there's actually more power in it than you may realize. There's a story I'd like to share. It's a bit of a hypothetical, fictional story. Imagine a father going to a shopping mall, and he's leaving the shopping mall, and it's Christmas time, and he's been looking around for gifts for his kids. And, he drops his wallet in the parking lot as he's leaving. And he drives home, and you're there, and you go into the parking lot and you realize there's a wallet here on the ground. And you look in the wallet and there's 5 crisp $100 bills. Now what do, right? You might take the $100 bills and leave the wallet there. You could turn it in to the police station or whatever. But you decide to look at his driver's license. You look into the wallet and you see the picture of his kids. You're thinking, I need to call this guy. And you do. You find his information, you call him and you say, sir, I got your wallet. He comes driving out and he sees that you preserved his wallet. He looks inside. Everything is still there. Can you imagine the gratitude of this guy? He's thinking, my gosh, thank you so much. This is a Christmas miracle, if you will. He might even say, you know what, take $100 bills just as a thank you. That's just so nice of you. And you know what? I think most of us would probably say, no, keep the money. Your gratitude is worth far more to me than some token, amount of some kind of cash thing. Your gratitude is worth so much more. And how would you feel in that moment? I mean, I feel it right now as I'm just saying it. You feel the lift, you feel the boost, that this kind of gratitude. So I feel like maybe it's kind of cheesy or cliche to say, well, we should all have gratitude in our life, but think about the other way. What does it feel like to receive gratitude? It's a very lifting feeling. It's a powerful feeling. And a lot of times when we receive thanks, we kind of just go on this autopilot, and I'm guilty of this. Oh, no problem. A lot of times I say, no worries. I'm thinking, that doesn't even make sense. This person's not worried about thanking me, right? It doesn't make sense. No worries, no problem. Oh, another one, forget it. Just forget it. Actually the truth is, this gratitude fills us with some kind of vitality, and it makes our lives meaningful. But we would never say that, right? It would be far too cringy to say, thank you for thanking me because it makes me feel so good. Yeah, cringe. We're not gonna say that. But it's actually the truth. It's actually very powerful. So imagine when you take a macro view of your life and you're filling your life with moments of service to others. And whether they express it or not, there is a spiritual or energetic flow coming your way of gratitude. Gratitude of all the people you're helping, just in small ways even. That is a really a good way to fill your soul, your spirit. And I think it's almost something very subtle you might not notice. And also, we sometimes rob each other of the chance to, we rob ourselves of the chance to fill someone else with that sense of gratitude. Imagine expressing your gratitude a little more to family members, to your parents, your spouse, whoever, neighbor, anybody. So those are two things I want to kind of touch on right away. There's an incredible life force that we're forgetting about. And actually, in the unification faith, we have the divine principle that kind of touches on this. We say that when you do good deeds, you in return get what in the divine principle is called vitality elements. And it was just recently I was realizing, this vitality of the spirit is very closely linked to gratitude from other people. So just think about that. If we want our spirit to grow, it's really great to think about gratitude from other people. Now I have to put a little asterisk here. Some things we do and they're thankless. Some things we do and we never get thanked, or no one ever sees it or notices. But I'm here to tell you that actually that's not entirely true, because there is God. God is not turning a blind eye to these things, and there is a spiritual reality. There is a spiritual world. There's a spiritual people that are helping us or who are thanking you on behalf of the person you thanked. So there is absolutely a spiritual realm to consider. And so even though you might feel that many things are thankless, they are not. And that actually makes the divine principle aspect make a lot of sense to me. And so before we linger on this too much, I want to go to another section. There's a Bible verse that's actually quite challenging. It's in the New Testament. It says, "Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. This is the will of God." And I find that extremely challenging. How should we ever, attempt to give thanks in all circumstances? That's quite a reach, I think, for a lot of us. And I was also thinking, with all these positivity books out there, I haven't found too much answer as far as how do I be grateful, right? You always hear, you should be grateful. You should have gratitude, attitude of gratitude. We hear that all the time. It's almost white noise. How should we become more grateful people? And there's a story I'd like to share of a guy named John Wesley. It's a short story, and I think it illustrates something really well. He was he invented or started the Methodist movement. A great preacher and wrote worship songs and started a huge revival in a very intense time in England. And he was on a way to a big revival event, very important, thousands of people showing up. He's in his little horse and buggy, and they get broken down. The buggy breaks down on the side of the road. I don't know, it's stuck in the mud or something. Bad weather. They're sitting there for hours and hours trying to fix the problem. And while he's sitting there, a man comes up to him, basically panhandling. He says, "Sir, I can't pay my rent. I'm a few $100s short," what was equivalent of today's money, a few $100s short on my rent. "Do you have anything to spare?" And John Wesley, just without blinking, just gives him the money. And his assistant is kind of looking at him like, "Okay, wow, that was interesting. I guess you've done your good deed for the day." And then John Wesley turns to him and says, "Now I know why God had us break down on the side of the road." So I paused and reflected on this story for quite a time. And I realized he was grateful. He didn't get fazed at all about being broken down on the side of the road. In fact, he found a way to be thankful for it. And I think two things happened here. One is his viewpoint shifted from being me and my event and my plan and my task and my benchmarks that I need to reach to, well, I have all these things I want to do, but what's God's plan? I want to check the bird's eye view. What's God's viewpoint here? I think he did that. He changed his perspective, which helped him become more grateful for every circumstance. And another thing he did, he changed his agenda. Most of us have this agenda, right? It's my benchmarks, my savings account, how I want to get promoted, how I want to move up, how I want to get into real estate, how I want to do whatever it is. We've all got these benchmarks, and we spend all day, every day, planning for those benchmarks. I'm guilty of this too. We're all day, every day planning for our benchmarks. John Wesley's benchmarks are quite different. His agenda in general was, how can I be of service in whatever situation God's putting me in? So if he puts me on the side of the road in a mud pit, in a gutter, and I found, oh, I can be of service here, then he can be grateful for that situation because he's fulfilling a different purpose. His purpose is not to check off benchmarks. His purpose is to do something of service. And so when a door closes on us, normally it's like, wait, but I was supposed to get to this, and I was supposed to buy the condo so that I could buy the house, and then I could retire, and then I could do... And when something blocks us on that path, we get frustrated. Ugh! It's not happening fast enough. I'm getting slowed down. With John Wesley's story, it shows that actually, if I'm shunted off to the side of the road, if I'm blocked, maybe it's because God wanted me to serve this other part of the world, this other group of people that I wasn't thinking about. And then I can find meaning in that service. And that's the fulfillment of my life. And because I'm fulfilling that, I'm grateful for that. So I think two things. Viewpoint is God's viewpoint, and his agenda has changed. And that is how we can garner some more sense of gratitude in our life. And actually, this is my situation. I had benchmarks. For those of you who might know my story, this is a little bit of a repeat of that story, but essentially I had my benchmarks. I wanted to be a pop songwriter. I wanted to be a producer. I was thinking I was going to live in LA at some point, and then doors closed and failed. So of course I'm feeling the frustration, my benchmarks, my dreams, they're all dying. But by the grace of God, I found I had other purposes, other functions, other people to meet. These wonderful brothers and sisters that I found in South Florida who became very much a family for me. And that my sense of meaning actually went higher than had I stayed on the benchmark path to pop producer guy. Writing a hit song for Miley Cyrus would be far less meaningful now that I look back. Far less meaningful than meeting people that I'm going to be in a familial, warm relationship with my entire life. That's so much more meaningful and so much more purpose to it. So I really feel God closed doors in my life on purpose, just like John Wesley, and now I can be grateful for those failures. I am grateful. I actually thank God. Thank you. And I used to joke because after I got fired from Starbucks as a 22-year-old kid, just showing up late all the time, long story, won't get into it. Because I was fired from Starbucks, I told every one of my friends, look guys, I'm about to be homeless, I need a job. And one of my friends found a job for me, and it paid triple. It paid triple what Starbucks was paying me, and I was getting paid to sit around and put name tags on kids for their music class, something like that. So I used to joke many years ago, the best thing that ever happened to me was getting fired from Starbucks. So that is really, I want to drive that home a little bit. It might be long-winded, but I don't want to just bash you over the head with, or bash myself over the head with, you should be grateful. I want to say, shift your viewpoint. Shift your idea of your purpose. Shift your agenda. And then you might find a lot more gratitude welling up into your heart. That's what I have found. And my life now is it's more like a big long story, When you read a big novel, the main character never just has everything he wants on page 30, You have to go through a story, and you're grateful for every part of that story. So I hope that this can be a message. I'm going to do a few more on gratitude, just leading up into Thanksgiving. I hope that this can be of some use to you. And just as a final thought, one way to just shift that agenda, instead of just saying, have an attitude of gratitude, let's have an attitude of purpose, an attitude of service. And natural byproduct of that will be gratitude. To do that shift, I think you can start with just a simple exercise of a little more prayer and a little more reading God's Word every day. It could be 5 minutes. I do that. I do a little 5-second prayer sometimes in my car. But it's more than zero. It's just a little bit. And God, teach me what I should be learning today, or put me in a circumstance where I could be of service, or have a purpose that you would find that's the next thing for my journey, next thing for my growth path, something like that. We'll talk more about prayer in other sermons, but I just hope that we can inspire you to spend that little God time, a little more, get that perspective shifted, and you will find more gratitude coming into your heart, coming into your spirit. I have that's been my testimony, so that's what I hope that you guys can find out for yourselves and try it, practice it, and see what it can do for you. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on The Living Room. God bless.